Picture this. The front door swings open for the first time in 2 days. You walk in carrying your newborn in their car seat, still in the hospital blanket, completely exhausted but overwhelmed with joy. And then it happens. Your dog explodes through the hallway, not aggressively, just completely chaotically overwhelmed. Jumping, spinning, pawing at the air, desperately trying to reach the car seat while your partner is frantically trying to push them back. The baby startles awake from the noise. The crying starts. Your dog freezes, stares directly at this tiny screaming creature like they have never seen anything so confusing in their entire life. And suddenly you are standing in your own front doorway, holding a newborn in one arm, trying to calm your dog with the other hand, and every single muscle in your body is rigid with tension. I want you to know something right now. That moment, that exact chaotic collision, is not a reflection of your dog's character. It is not a sign that your dog is dangerous or that you made a mistake. It is simply what happens when a dog meets a complete stranger, because that is exactly what your baby is to your dog in that moment. A stranger, an unidentified creature carrying an entirely unfamiliar biological scent profile, making a sound that bypasses the rational brain and triggers a deep alarm response. And your dog's brain has absolutely no file for any of it. But what if I told you that 3 days before your baby ever comes home, you could make your dog feel like they already know them? What if I told you there is a specific preparation protocol rooted entirely in the biology of how a dog's brain actually works that transforms your dog from a confused, frantic stranger into a calm, bonded companion on the very first day your baby walks through the door? Hi everyone, I am Dr. Michael Carter, your neighborhood veterinarian, and I have been helping families navigate dog and baby introductions for over 20 years. This is the video I wish every single expecting parent would watch, because the difference between a beautiful, calm homecoming and an overwhelming and stressful one comes down to exactly 3 days of intentional preparation. Today we are doing a complete masterclass. We are going to break down exactly how your dog's brain processes a new baby, why unprepared introductions go wrong even with the gentlest dogs in the world, and the precise day-by-day protocol you need to follow starting 3 days before your baby comes home. Grab a notebook. And before we go anywhere, hear this clearly from your veterinarian. No matter how gentle your dog is, no matter how perfectly this preparation goes, a dog should never ever be left unsupervised, alone with an infant, not for 30 seconds. What we are building today is the bond, the calm, and the recognition. The supervision is always your permanent responsibility. Let us start with the most important thing you could ever understand about how your dog actually experiences the world. Your dog does not see the world the way you do. They smell it. A human nose contains roughly 6 million olfactory receptor cells. Your dog's nose contains up to 300 million. That is not simply a stronger version of the same thing. It is an entirely different biological relationship with reality. When your dog meets another dog at the park, they do not make eye contact and smile. They sniff. Within a few deliberate seconds, they have gathered information about that animal's age, emotional state, stress hormone levels, reproductive status, and health. The sniff is not a greeting. The sniff is an identity file. It is how your dog builds and stores every relationship they will ever have. Now think carefully about what happens when you bring a newborn home without any preparation at all. Your dog has never smelled this creature before in their entire life, and newborns carry a completely unique biochemical profile, unlike anything else in the domestic environment. They smell like amniotic fluid, hospital antiseptics, vernix, colostrum, and an elevated profile of stress hormones from both the baby and the parents. To a dog's extraordinarily sensitive nose, that car seat coming through the front door is not just unfamiliar. It is an explosion of completely unclassifiable biological signals arriving all at once. There is no existing file for any of it, and a dog's first neurological response to something unclassifiable is not aggression. It is extreme arousal, confusion, and escalating anxiety. Here is what almost no one tells expecting dog owners. The olfactory bulb, the specific region of a dog's brain that processes and categorizes scent, takes approximately 48 to 72 hours to fully file a new scent as familiar rather than unknown. 48 to 72 hours, 3 days. If you give your dog 3 days to process your baby's scent before your baby ever arrives in person, the brain has already built the file. The stranger becomes familiar before the first face-to-face meeting ever occurs. Your dog does not approach the car seat with alarm. They approach someone they have already begun to recognize. That biological window of 72 hours is the entire foundation of this protocol. 3 days before your baby comes home, you need to get what veterinary behaviorists call a scent article to your dog. A scent article is any piece of soft fabric that has been worn directly against your newborn's skin. The best option is a cotton hospital receiving blanket that the baby was swaddled in for several hours, a worn onesie, a cotton hat that sat on the baby's head, or a burp cloth that made skin contact all work equally well. When your partner or a family member brings this item home from the hospital, the way you present it to your dog determines everything about how this first exposure goes. Do not allow your dog to rush at it and frantically shove their nose into it. Frantic sniffing is your dog's brain telling you it is in a state of high arousal and incomplete processing. Instead, place the scent article gently on the floor about 4 feet in front of your dog and sit quietly nearby. Let them approach completely on their own terms. What you will observe in a dog whose nervous system is regulated is a slow, deliberate walk toward the item, followed by long, careful, measured sniffs. That slow, deliberate quality is the signal that genuine, deep olfactory processing is happening. That is exactly the response you want to see. Pay close attention to their body language during this moment. If their tail is low and moving slowly, their ears are relaxed and back, and they are sniffing carefully but not obsessively, they are processing the scent exactly as you want. If they immediately begin whining, pawing at the article, or sniffing it with rapid, shallow, frantic inhales, their stress response is activated. If that happens, gently pick the scent article up, place it on a countertop out of reach, give your dog 15 to 20 quiet minutes to settle, and try the introduction again. A calm introduction to the scent is neurologically different from an anxious one. It matters. After your dog has completed a calm sniff session, place the scent article somewhere in the main area where your dog naturally rests, not in the nursery yet, in their space. Let them revisit it freely over the next 24 hours. They will return to it multiple times throughout the day and through the night. Every single return visit is the brain updating and deepening the file. By the end of that first day, the scent is already moving from unfamiliar to recognized. The second day before your baby comes home requires you to address a completely different sense that almost every expecting family overlooks, and overlooking it causes some of the most stressful homecoming moments I have seen in 20 years of practice. Your dog has never heard a newborn cry, and from a neurological standpoint, that matters more than most people realize. A newborn's cry is specifically calibrated by evolution to trigger urgent mammalian attention. It bypasses the thinking brain and fires directly into the limbic system, which is the brain's emotional alarm center. This is an ancient biological mechanism, and it is absolutely active in dogs. When a dog hears a newborn cry for the first time without any preparation, their cortisol levels spike, their alert system fires, their entire body shifts into a state of hypervigilance. And for a dog that is already in elevated stress from 2 days of disrupted routine and an absent owner, that sudden high-pitched alarm sound arriving without context is genuinely overwhelming. 2 days before the baby comes home, spend 20 intentional minutes playing newborn cry recordings through a speaker in your living room. These recordings are easy to find online. Start at a very low volume, almost background level. Sit calmly with your dog. Feed them small pieces of their regular kibble throughout the session. What you are building here is systematic desensitization, which is the clinically proven technique of pairing an anxiety-triggering stimulus with a calm, neutral, rewarding context until the brain reclassifies the sound as normal rather than alarming. Over the 20-minute session, slowly bring the volume up to a realistic level. Watch your dog throughout. If they orient toward the speaker but remain physically loose and calm, that is excellent progress. If they begin pacing, whining, or barking, bring the volume back down and give them more time at the lower level before increasing again. The families who skip this step pay for it at 3 in the morning on the baby's first night home. When the crying starts, the dog starts barking at the nursery door, and two exhausted new parents are now managing two overwhelmed creatures simultaneously. 20 minutes of preparation on a weekday afternoon prevents weeks of behavioral fallout. On this same second day, establish the nursery boundary clearly. Decide whether your dog is allowed in the nursery at all and begin teaching that boundary now. Stand at the threshold of the nursery doorway and give a calm, single verbal cue, one consistent word like out or wait, and gently redirect your dog away from the doorway. When they settle just outside the threshold, reward that calm behavior immediately. Repeat this several times. You are not punishing your dog for being curious. You are teaching them that calmness at the doorway is what earns your attention and a reward. Most dogs understand this boundary within a few short sessions if the teaching is consistent and positive. One day before your baby comes home, the focus shifts entirely to your dog's nervous system. This is the day most parents forget about because they are exhausted and focused entirely on the baby's arrival. But your dog has been alone or with an unfamiliar caretaker for nearly 2 days. Their routine has evaporated. Their cortisol baseline is already elevated. Their world has been disrupted in ways they cannot process verbally. Bringing a baby home into a dog who is already at peak anxiety is setting both of them up for an unnecessarily hard first day. If at all possible, arrange for someone to take your dog on a long, slow, loose leash walk on this day. Not a sprint, not an intense game of fetch, a long, relaxed walk where their nose can reach the ground and they can sniff freely at their own pace. Nose work of any kind activates the parasympathetic nervous system in dogs. It lowers cortisol. It is the neurological equivalent of a deep breathing exercise. A dog who has had 60 minutes of genuine sniff walking arrives back home measurably calmer than one who has been waiting anxiously indoors all day. Also on this day, maintain every piece of your dog's normal routine that is possible to keep. Feed them at their normal time. Have a familiar person give them real, unhurried affection. Keep their sleep location the same. Every familiar element of this day is a signal to your dog's brain that the world is still predictable and safe. And a dog who goes into homecoming day from a foundation of safety and calm is a fundamentally different animal from one who arrives at it already overwhelmed. On homecoming day itself, the sequence of events in your front door matters. Have someone arrive at the house before the baby enters and take the dog outside or into a back room to let them discharge the initial excitement of someone returning home. Allow that energy to settle, then bring the baby inside, get them settled, and allow yourself a moment to breathe and genuinely relax your own body. Because here is something peer-reviewed research from the University of London has confirmed. Dogs synchronize their cortisol levels with their owners. Your anxiety is not invisible to your dog. It is biological information they are reading continuously. If you approach this moment tense, they will be tense. Your calm is not just for you, it is preparation for them. When your dog enters the room, have a trusted family member hold a loose, relaxed leash, not a tight one. Tension in a leash communicates danger. Allow your dog to approach the baby slowly and take a calm, deliberate sniff of the baby's feet and the blanket. Keep the baby's face and hands away from your dog during this initial contact. Speak to your dog in a low, ordinary tone, not a nervous whisper, not an anxious warning, just the everyday sound of your voice. In a dog that has had 3 days of scent preparation, what you will often see in this moment is something genuinely moving. The dog approaches slowly, takes one long sniff, and then steps back, looks up at you, and settles because the file is already there. This is not a stranger. This is recognized, and the first thread of a lifelong bond quietly begins to form. Watch carefully for these warning signs regardless of how well the preparation went. A dog that stiffens and stares hard at the baby with a rigid high tail is showing predatory arousal and needs immediate space and professional behavioral guidance. A low, rumbling growl must never be punished. Punishing a growl removes the warning signal while doing nothing to address the emotion underneath it, which is far more dangerous than the growl itself. If your dog goes off food, stops sleeping in their normal spot, or begins hiding for more than 3 days following homecoming, they are in behavioral distress and deserve professional support. Here is your complete action plan. 3 days before, bring a scent article home from the hospital. Present it calmly on the floor. Allow deliberate, unhurried sniffing. Leave it in the dog's main living area for ongoing exposure. 2 days before, run 20 minutes of newborn cry desensitization with food pairing. Establish and begin teaching the nursery boundary. Maintain daily routine as much as possible. 1 day before, prioritize a long nose-led sniff walk. Arrange real time with a familiar person. Keep feeding and sleep routines entirely normal. Homecoming day, allow energy to settle before the baby enters. Use a loose, calm leash for the introduction. Let your dogs sniff slowly on their own terms. Project genuine calm throughout. Your dog does not see your baby as a threat. They see them as the newest member of their world. They want to understand them. They want to find their place in this changed life. The 3 days of preparation are simply your way of giving their biology the time and the inputs it needs to do exactly that. Being a new parent and a devoted dog owner at the same time is one of the most beautiful and complicated things a person can take on. The fact that you are here, learning the science, thinking about both of them before either of them ever shares a room together, says everything about the kind of home they are both lucky enough to be growing up in. If this masterclass gave you a clear plan and a calmer feeling about this introduction, please hit the like button. It helps this veterinary guidance reach every expecting family that needs it. Subscribe so you never miss our deep dives into your dog's health and behavior, and leave me a comment below right now. Is this your first baby with a dog at home, or have you navigated this before? Tell me your story. I read every single one. Give your dog a long, calm scratch behind the ears tonight. They do not know what is coming, but with 3 days of preparation, they will be ready. Stay patient, stay observant, and I will see you in the very next video.